good scene in the movie. Paradigm Review Show. Oops, I'm not Ross McCloud anymore. I'm okay. You know what? It's
Spanish, like the movie did after.
Yeah,
after
I'm not Scottish. I'm Egyptian. I'm Ross Kowalski now, and yeah, I'm doing it, guys. I'm going full all out on this crap review. So, in a situation like this would normally be a Paradigm roast show, but we're gonna do it 50-50 down the middle and actually tell you guys what we think happened here. Anyway, it's Zodiac Goes to the Movies, Part 3. Vanishing Point. The most interesting thing we have to cover is certainly the Richard Grinell articles relating the Zodiac letters to the poster and the trailer, and certainly not any actual content from this film. But with that being said, guys, I'm just going to rock it through the drops real quick, and then we can
go for it, man.
Watch that audio. Is there audio slave video with a car chase? I'm willing to bet anything Chris Cornell did was certainly better than this film. So
much better.
We'll get into it. Chris Cornell could just like record his dreams from a Dreamcatcher computer, and it would come out way better than this. Just AI it. Camera X out now on Tubi. Go check it out. Like it. Add it to your list. Bumps us up in the rankings. Skate to Hell is out now on Amazon, and you can get the DVD on Amazon. The Thing Expanded, I think there's 3 or 4 days left on pre-order, guys. So if you guys haven't got your name in Thing Expanded, I recommend you do. If you're a Thing fan, a Carpenter fan, a Russell fan, if you don't agree with anything I just listed, then you're definitely on the wrong channel. As a matter of fact, unsubscribe. There's something you don't hear much, but yeah, don't log into our YouTube. Don't watch us. This is Ross from PXF and Gaz from Shinobi. Anywho, shout out to Pixie, shout out to Greg. Rest in peace, Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
Let's clap it up, guys, for a legendary career. Chuck is the GOAT. So we'll look to get Sensei Chuck on the schedule for you guys. Maybe I'll do a poll, unless you guys know exactly, because I haven't seen Delta Force. I haven't seen the Octagon. I think you've seen more Chuck than I have, guys.
Yeah, all the Mission in Action movies, the Octagon, all the Delta Force. There's there's many, but
so many more.
Yeah.
I've seen Lone Wolf McCade. I've seen I've seen a few, and then obviously the ones that me and you reviewed. This cool. Well, we'll check out the comparison. Shout out Audio Slave. Rest in peace to Chris Cornell, the GOAT. He's in that movie, that grunge movie that me and Spy Fox talking about. Pixie. What is that movie called? It's like, anyway, it's like you obviously haven't seen it, guys. It's like a romance, like dating movie, but they live in Seattle during grunge. So there's like an Alice in Chains performance,
worth it for the soundtrack,
and there's a Soundgarden performance in it. Not a great movie, but you're like, that's the only footage you're going to see of like Lane and Chris in the same movie. And Chris has a couple cameos too. He's in a scene, so it's pretty dope.
It's probably still much better than Vanishing.
Oh my gosh! So Vanishing Point makes whatever that movie is called, like what's called Strangers. I forget the name of it. But so Vanishing Point makes that movie look like Casablanca, as that guy said about Highlander, the source about Highlander too. So let's get into this shite fest. I'll pull up IMDb. Zodiac obviously thought this was going to be a cool, crazy thing for him to reference, and once again, as we said with Rampage, it just didn't pan out.
I'm getting the sense, and this is from someone that is not true crime or any of that at all. I'm getting the sense. But you do
specialize in shite films, so this might actually be your wheelhouse.
Exactly. Oh yeah, exactly. I'm a specialist in that.
It might be where you and Zodiac align.
I was going to say that I'm getting the sense of Zodiac just having good taste at all. Does he? Not even so bad it's good.
He thinks. Well, that's what he said about The Exorcist. But that was the best movie he talked about. It's like, dude, if you really think Rampage was we thought it was going to be crazy because The Most Dangerous Game, like the other movies have a super high energy pace and stuff like that. So we're like, okay, maybe that's where he's going with it. So he kind of veered off there. And he had a couple other fall-offs as well with Rampage.
Don't worry, folks. We will cover some positives with this. It could have been good that you are led to believe that it is going to be good, and then just no pun intended, or maybe the director didn't care. I
think it stopped showing up. He vanished. He ninja vanished off that set, and then Kowalski was like, "I'm in charge here. Aim that camera here." Give me some more speed. I've never seen anyone take so much speed in a movie. I can't.
Yeah, I thought that his head's just going to go. It's like every moment needs to
like Kirby and shit.
Yeah. I'll only take a bit, but it takes half the bottle.
Yeah. I'm not going to be able to take all these. I only got a couple days to drive. It's like something in like Kirby's Dreamland. Where's the okay? So how do I pause? I don't know if I can pause that. So Vanishing Point. During the 1970s, car delivery driver Kowalski delivers hot rods in a record time, but always runs into trouble. Car action, dark comedy, road trip action, crime thriller. Would you like to? The only dark comedy in this film was unintentional dark comedy.
Yeah,
that me and guys thought was funny, but I'm not sure anybody else did. And one thing that we also learned is so there's remakes, and so we assume that the '97 remake with Viggo Mortensen and Keith David's way better than this, just because it has pretty much two good actors in it. So I know Viggo's the driver. Before we start, I would also say that. Probably as guys, your idea, like what was that game called? Driver.
Driver,
Vin Diesel made the game Wheelman. Vanishing Point almost certainly would have made a better video game than this movie. So let me get Wiki going. 97.1 film. 97 American action film directed by Richard C. Sarafian, starring Barry Newman, Cleavon Little, and Dean Jagger. It focuses on a disaffected ex-policeman, a race car driver, delivering a muscle car across country to California while high on speed uppers in the story, being chased by police and meeting various characters along the way. Since its release, it has developed a cult following. Hey, man, you got any uppers? What do you mean, speed? Yeah. And the guy basically just takes speed and drives the whole movie.
Yeah. It's it's maybe the only recommended way to watch the movie.
Yeah. You definitely wouldn't want to fast forward this movie regardless of whether you're on speed or not. So, I do think some of these setup scenes were working, guys. Definitely, like it gave his character some interesting context with him being the former, Vietnam veteran, former race driver, and then I guess like ex-policeman was like the last thing. So those flashbacks were pretty cool. When his car crashed on the track, I had no idea that was him. They didn't explain anything. They just went randomly into those flashbacks. And I was like, was that him? And obviously it showed you in the articles later on it was. But they didn't do a great job of explaining what you were seeing. He tried to do like a memento thing where he jumped around in the timeline and it just showed you random flashbacks. Like I think the dude was a pretty good actor, and he's probably, he's probably the best performance in the film. Not much other than some of the shots and shooting the California desert. There's really not much to it. There are a lot of other movies like this. I think Richard Grinell, if you see this, hit me in a comment. I think he might have mentioned to me, or either that it was the Zodiac forum, and I told you about it before, that movie, The Car, where it's a possessed car that like runs people off the road and stuff. It's like an early like horror movie. Like Christine.
Chris, I was going to say the only one.
This isn't the same genre.
That sounds interesting.
Demonic car. I think you would like it more because much more happens. It's a much faster paced horror movie. But so there are similar driving type movies like this, and I think the story was that Zodiac may have referenced The Car in one of his other letters. That's by far the superior comparison, having watched Vanishing Point. If the Zodiac heads need to watch this, just stick to the trailer, guys. You'll get everything Richard was saying.
Yeah.
Richard already posted the trailer.
I'll start with positives before we go on our review, which we're not going to kind of be like an unofficial roast.
Devolve into a roast.
Yeah. I mean, the positives, hey, Darkside, the positives. Look, the lead actor, Barry Newman, who plays Kowalski, he has like this very old school narration driven way of acting, and it works for opening the film, for setting the scene, and it does hook you in at first. When you first watch this, you will be, if you can kind of ignore the beyond terrible music, it's absolute garbage. You are led to believe for a while that this is going to be a good film. Some of the shots, as Ross is saying, very good. The Dodge muscle car, excellent. Hearing that engine roar, man, that was sweet as well. I really enjoyed that, seeing it burn off as well. There is some good car chase scenes in the early part of the film, folks, and you're like, this is going to be one of those kind of old school car chase movies. Hence why I was saying to Ross, reminded me of the game Driver from PS1. I thought, this is going to be sick. And you are led to believe this, folks, when, and spoilers alert, but honestly, because this movie's bought, I probably don't care about it.
It's from 71, we're not trying to defend this.
We're doing you a service, community service again from PXF, PXN.
Thanks again, Zodiac. Another classic.
Well, when he's so Kowalski, all we kind of know is he's some kind of driver, ex-race driver, and he has to get to San Francisco by 3 p.m. the next day. He meets a biker buddy at a bar, gets some speed, as he frequently does whenever he stops. It's like, yep, got to take more speed. So you get a sense, he obviously needs to stay awake, stay focused to get there. Has a bet with his buddy. Hey, if I don't get to San Francisco by 3 p.m. tomorrow, you win double whatever I pay for speed or the next bet, something like that.
Yep.
So you think, man, this is going to be good. There are some good opening chases involving the cops. So you're like, this is going to be okay.
Yeah.
Then it just decides to literally vanish and becomes Vanishing PISS.
Vanishing plot.
Vanishing plot. And you just, bro, some of those flashbacks kind of worked. Interesting. We learn he's ex-race driver. He was ex-cop. There was a good scene in that one. Paints him as the kind of anti-hero vigilante. That was cool.
So there was a grindhouse noir going on, but you know what I mean? But it wasn't ever built on to
it wasn't, and it had potential. This is the thing. They had a decent character. He wasn't a bad actor. And there was flashbacks from I think it was the old like stock car racing. There was some of the I've forgotten the kind of bikes.
I think it was like a motocross type thing. I thought you would like that scene.
That was cool.
Throwback motocross thing.
That was good. That was awesome. And you discover he's ex-Vietnam as well. So that had potential to build on that. But you did feel like they were randomly put in there at times, and it never went any further forward. And that was a shame, folks, because the character Ross was fine, decent actor. It just never went anywhere. It literally vanished.
Exactly, it did. The plot vanished. It was when he got bogged down in the desert, and they show you all these helicopters, and they're going to be doing this crazy search for him. You know what I mean, in the trailer and such. It's way more interesting than anything we'll talk about. So that's I don't know how I'm going to get it in there for you. That's there we go. Zodiac, Super Seawolf skeleton guys, kind of out of focus, but. So the rib cage bones glow in the dark when it charges up. So anyway, that's the new Super Seawolf.
There is other kind of sub-theme. Sorry, Ross, I cut you off.
No, go ahead, brother.
I'm getting a bit out. There is kind of the other subplot themes. It delves into a bit of racism as well.
Yep.
Kind of that character, the radio narrator, who I guess he's not a bad character. And it's just the music's obviously very questionable as it is throughout the film, but that's happening in the background. But that kind of never goes anywhere. You see something where it's somewhat resolved.
It's another grindhouse subplot that just
and it feels like they were stuck in the background, Ross, but they didn't really go anywhere with it, and it was only very loosely connected.
Why were they championing him also? Because wasn't he just delivering illegal hot rods for some criminals and taking a bunch of speed? So the fact that they were like, he's getting away from the cops on the highways, this guy's starting the revolution. Like, what revolutionary? I guess he was running cops off the road and stuff. But
well, I'm going to say this, Ross. Then, so if he was the last American hero, I think he keeps saying. It's a bit like that other film we watched with
Badlands.
Was it Charlie Sheen, where they kept having to remind you and he looked like James Dean?
Martin Sheen. That was the other Zodiac movie. That was Zodiac Goes to the Movies. That was in the Badlands card.
We were reminded every 5 minutes that this is the last American hero. And sadly, that pun is a prophecy for how the film ends when we get there, which has one of the worst endings ever. And I literally wanted to put my foot through the screen. Was like, what have I just sat and watched?
They showed you that in the beginning, and it's if that is the full circle ending, that's just unbearable. So let's go back to what Wiki says.
I'll try and chill myself for a little. You can get a word.
I don't think it's going to happen, but I did. So have you seen Bullet?
Yeah, that is not for a long time though. I've seen
it's that famous. It's Steve McQueen, the famous car chase in San Francisco down the hills. So I'll bring it up later. The whole Frisco bit that Kowalski's doing in this, the director wanted to go to Frisco and shoot a reverse bullet car chase, where instead of going down the hills, they're going up, like everyone's chasing I haven't seen Wisdom, Steven, but I'll tell you what, you should give Richard Grinell's work a look on this Vanishing Point, because the ending of this movie is complete garbage.
Yeah, I'm just looking out. Is that the one he recommended the other week, Emilio Estevez?
So they wanted to shoot that reverse Frisco race, and then also Steve McQueen wears his side pistol on the side, like Detective David Toschi, who's the lead detective in the Zodiac case, guys. And Toschi's name is used by George Lucas as the Toschi station in Star Wars, just for your knowledge, because Lucas is from the North Bay, so he knew about the Zodiac case, you know what I mean? So there's literally basically a David Toschi Zodiac reference in Star Wars, which is about as freaking insane Mandela effect as you can get. All right, let's see what this so what we got here. Cast, development, vehicles, and we'll see if it talks about any of the cool stuff. The soundtrack, ooh, yeah, you guys will really be looking forward to that. Home media, the soundtrack's a dookie. Plot: car delivery driver Kowalski arrives in Denver, Colorado late on a Friday night with a black Imperial. The delivery service clerk, Sandy, urges him to get some rest. Kowalski insists on getting started on his next assignment, delivering a white 1970 Dodge Challenger RT 44 Magnum with top speeds exceeding 160 mph to San Francisco by Monday. Before leaving Denver, Kowalski pulls into a biker bar parking lot around midnight to buy Benzedrine pills to stay awake for the long drive ahead. I guess that was his speed gas.
Yeah.
He bets his dealer, Jake, that he'll get to Frisco by 3 Sunday, even though the delivery is not even due till Monday. Whoa. Though through flashbacks and the police reading of his record, it's revealed that Kowalski is a Medal of Honor Vietnam War veteran, former race car driver, and motorcycle racer. Okay, so that's what the motorcycle races were. I didn't even understand that. I knew they were showing it, but I was like, I missed that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just assumed he was a cross-discipline racer. That's
you figured out. You got further in the plot than I did. That's absolutely.
One of us kind of, yeah. One of us managed to get some.
I ejected my brain early on in Act 1, guys.
That was a good thing.
Demi Moore and Emilio. Yeah, there's a lot of Zodiac tie-ins in this, brother. So wait, where the hell were we, guys? It kind of devolved there. Do Monday.
Yeah, we might do that a lot.
The motocross thing threw me off. I'm back. He's also a former police officer expelled from the force after preventing the R word of a young woman by his superior. While driving across Colorado over the speed limit, Kowalski is pursued by 2 motorcycle policemen. He forces one officer off the road and eludes the other officer by going off-road. Later, the driver of a Jaguar E-Type Roadster pulls up alongside Kowalski, challenging him to a race. Kowalski's nearly run off the road. He then overtakes the Jaguar, which crashes into a river. Kowalski gets out of his car to look back at the driver and then takes off with police in pursuit. Are you impressed by any of this stuff so far, guys?
Oh yeah, I to quote the film's actual poster, tighten your seatbelt, folks. You've never had a trip like this before.
Vin Diesel voice, you might want to buckle up. You know what I mean? This is some fast material.
I'll say again, as I was saying at the start, there was potential for this to be a good film. The early part of the film is not that bad with some of the clashes, things where it sets it up. Yeah, it's good, but as Ross said, it goes in reverse and literally vanishes on itself.
Yeah. Vanishing, like what you think is like going to be a sick build up, you know what I mean? Yeah. Just completely devolves. Basically all those scenes we listed. There's some good. The kind of dogfight with the cops is cool. That's probably one of the better parts. I mean, the helicopter, all that stuff is working in Act 1, and you think you're going to get this kind of epic, like Devil's Rejects ending with Freebird when they're driving into the, blockade and they all get shot up and stuff, or like a Bonnie and Clyde type of thing. I mean, there's a lot of movies that have this motif, right? The criminal's on the run, and this movie does not stick the landing. So there's that.
And did they Maybe because it's so bad, I've just forgotten. I think you did mention it in your introduction, Ross. Did they ever reveal why he has to get to San Francisco? Was that in the
just to deliver the car? He's trying to be ahead of schedule, so the guy told him Monday, and he started taking speed and told everyone Sunday. So beyond him taking speed and telling everyone he could do it faster, that's what I was saying. There's literally no point to this movie other than drugs are bad. Okay.
And also, I know I'm getting ahead of myself. But we're introduced, I think it's in Act 2, we're introduced to another character played by Cleavon Little, Super Soul, who's this like old school kind of funk R&B DJ, I guess, and gets very eminent with his voiceovers. And you would think the music would be good by that, but sadly the music doesn't back that up.
No.
Now you'd think he's going to be quite a cool character. He's probably the next most interesting thing and best character in the film, actually.
Yeah, he has good energy. The way he hosts the radio and stuff is just dude, it's a car chase where this supposedly speed racer car vigilante, like you said, is taking on the cops, and you're going to play all this corny soft pop. Yeah. You know what I mean? Again, it's a different time, so although if that was me in your era, I think we would have been listening to things that were much better in 70, 71, like Led Zeppelin and stuff with some energy.
Yeah, exactly. There's better there's better music. Way better music. I'd rather have the 60s music, which is far better.
Where's the Beatles? Yeah, I guess they couldn't get the rights to one song.
But did you ever? But what was always kind of made me have sometimes a puzzling smile, I guess, was all the random people just stood outside the radio station, whenever he was doing the commentary and updates.
Cheering it on.
Sorry. And as the film progresses to the end, it's almost like half the town is stood out there. And then that weird outro as well, Ross, where you're like kind of looking at yourself like, have I literally smoked too much?
Yeah, I think everybody in this movie smoked too much. And it really has that effect, you know what I mean? Where, where you're around all your friends and you get like a contact high, you know what I mean? For sure. Yeah. Kowalski drives across Utah to Nevada with the police in pursuit. During the chase, his radio's tuned to the station KOW, broadcasting from Goldfield, Nevada. Yeah. A blind black disc jockey who goes by the name of Super Soul listens to the police radio frequency and encourages Kowalski to evade the police. With the help of Super Soul, who calls Kowalski the last American hero, like Gaz said, Kowalski gains the interest of the news media, and people gather at the KOW to offer their support. During the police chase across Nevada, Kowalski finds himself surrounded and heads off-road into the desert. After he blows a tire on a dry lake bed and becomes lost, he's helped by an old prospector who catches rattlesnakes for a Pentecostal Christian commune. The prospector gives Kowalski fuel and directs him back to the highway. There he picks up two gay hitchhikers stranded en route to San Francisco with a "Just Married" sign in their rear window. The hitchhikers attempt to rob him at gunpoint. Kowalski fights them off and continues alone on his journey. This is just like one of those out of the blue 70s like grindhouse have to have a gay guy scene. You know what I mean? And obviously he overpowers two guys with a gun drawn on him and kicks them out the door of a moving car.
It's comical the way it happens. I mean, even the cult, the Christian cult that he comes across in the desert. I mean, that's bizarre.
Yeah.
Then this gets even bizarrer with the stick up from the two gay guys. Yeah. And the way they are kicked and disposed, and then one has it kind of reminded me of the End of the Warriors, where the dude goes no. Kind of reminded me of that a little, where one of the guys is said, after he's obviously being kicked out the car and hurt, he's like, who hurts?
Yeah. When that last guy rolls across the dirt and then he looks up at the car driving away, he goes, bitch, and then they just cut. It's like that was the dark comedy for sure. That was the dark comedy for sure, because I was like, dude, why would you put that cut in this movie? But it's just totally one of those. Dude, it's all over the place.
Not in a good way, sadly.
That Christian commune was weird, but that was when that was the exact direction the plot was going nowhere. You know what I mean? And that's like when he met the snake guy. Okay, it's like he popped a tire and he has to get back on track. But you knew it's going to go back to some weird thing. And as soon as I saw that commune with the weird Christian songs they were singing.
Yeah, it gets kind of. There's even another strange scene where he's, I think after that he, think that's when after he gets rid of the two gay guys who try and, as one of them says, this is a stick up, get kicked out of the car.
Try to rob him.
Kowalski's driving along the road again, and is this where the biker approaches him on a Harley, comes up on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
And then of course the last American hero needs speed again. It's like Captain America, but he needs speed literally every minute to keep him going. So, Kowalski asks, have you got any ops? And the dude says, oh, you mean some speed? Goes back to this...
back at the house.
Yeah, his house in the middle of nowhere.
It's like a... it's like a trailer in the middle, like a trailer.
And this is where he's reunited with the girl he saved from being R-worded in a flashback. But it's quite bizarre. She... this might be where you get a bit excited, Pixie, because you're good at noticing things. So she kind of propositions him if he would like to be reacquainted, ignite something that wasn't ignited to begin with because he saved her. I don't know.
Yeah.
And
turn on his ignition, so to speak.
Yeah, turn on his ignition. He decides no, he wants to keep his engine turned off. And she is riding around on another Harley with nothing.
So she rides up
in a bizarre scene, isn't it? Yeah, that was it. She rides up nude.
It seems like a random copycat of Easy Rider scene.
Easy Rider, yeah.
But I'm not sure what year Easy Rider came out. We'll have to get that on the PXF Classics list.
Yeah.
But Saturday afternoon, a vengeful off-duty highway patrolman and a group of thugs break into the... I didn't even understand that dude was an off-duty highway guy in the KOW and assault Super Soul near the California state line. Kowalski's helped by hippie biker Angel, who gives him pills to stay awake, as Gaz said. Kowalski is recognized by Angel's girlfriend, who admires that he prevented the R word by his senior police officer. As Kowalski continues to listen to the KOW, he notices a change in Super Soul's tone. He suspects he's being directed by the police to entrap him in California. Confirming that the police are indeed waiting at the border, Angel helps Kowalski get through the roadblock by modifying the Challenger to simulate a police car. Okay, that was one of the only cool things that they did. Was kind of throwing that off.
I put the siren on and broke the roadblock. Yeah, that was cool.
The as you said, as Gaz said, the awkward naked hippie scene when he's like, "Hey, is there anything you want?" "No, thanks." "Are you sure?" "No, I'll just have a smoke." "Okay, I'll roll you one." "No, I just want some cigarettes." And then once he gets the cigarettes at his speed, guy's good to go.
Yeah. And I mean, that was cool. I'd seen how they broke the roadblock, and then we're presented with another unintentional, hilarious scene.
So the Easy Rider came out first. That explains a lot.
Yeah. So in the biker then is he's got him over the state line. He's in. Is he in LA by then, Ross? He's over the state line, isn't he?
I think he's over the state line. I don't know if that's LA.
You can tell me and Ross enjoyed this so much that we paid so much close attention to
I know they said Cisco, California, where they actually shot it in Cisco, Utah, because I at first when I saw their map, I wasn't sure if that was short for San Francisco, and I was like, I've never heard anyone ever call it Cisco. So again, as Gaz said, not totally clear with that weird light bright map they were following, Gaz. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Oh,
the special effects.
Oh yeah, and then you've got
the VFX go crazy.
One of the poshest speaking cops I've ever heard. Well, we're dealing with it now, and
the California tax. We're going to take care of that because you could not do so in Nevada. Okay, thank you guys. Don't know where this plot is going at this point.
But that scene, Ross, where the bikers escorted him up, they broke the roadblock, folks, and that is a cool scene. And he's
with
over
the fake alarm. It was a good idea. I mean, that worked for back then.
That's good over the state line. And then you've just got this random comedic moment where the biker then gets on the little kid's bike, like those little
like
junior
half size,
And so Kowalski's like, "Oh, are you going to be okay? Can you make it back?" And then it's like, "Oh yeah," and we're treated with a shot. With his legs or on the road because the bike is
across the highway because he's too tall.
Yeah. He's too tall.
Kowalski's been taking speed for 72 hours, like Gaz said. So he's like, "That's a great plan, dude. Peace." And he's just like, he's gone. And that dude's like, how much gas does that dude have for like 2 to 3 hours? He's just gonna be stuck in the desert, like Gaz said, and he's just gonna die on the side of the road like dusk till dawn. You're either getting eaten by coyotes or vampires at that point.
The car is the best thing in a film, folks. We'll say that.
The car is
and the sound of the engine, absolutely great.
And mind you, the car is a better movie, and the car doesn't even have a driver in the car. It's just an empty car. So I mean, it's
on the list.
Says a lot. Okay. Okay. Confirming the police are deweighting the border. Yeah, they modified the Challenger similar to the police car. Kowalski finally reaches California on Saturday at 7:12 p.m. He calls Jake from a payphone to reassure him that he still intends to deliver the car on Monday, while acknowledging he won't win their bet and offering to double it for the next time. Kowalski picks up a mysterious... this is another unnecessary scene, guys. Made no sense. Mysterious hitchhiker Charlotte Rampling late Saturday night. He accepts marijuana cigarette from her despite refusing marijuana and several other previous scenes. He stops the car when he starts feeling stoned. She said she has been waiting for him everywhere and since forever. When he wakens the next morning, she's gone without a trace. So that's obviously supposed to represent the highway ghost motif.
Also, do you think there's one scene where there's a flashback to, I think it's his girlfriend who we learn had passed in a surfing accident. I think there's a scene of them on the beach. And this is going to sound like I'm shilling for this movie. I'm making excuses for it or something. I don't know. Was that supposed to be the spirit maybe of her? And then he was about to leave the road and join her. Yeah, I've just kind of revealed how this piece of Vanishing urine ends. And it's
genius level, callback. You know what I mean? Only so many things could be said for this just genius level film that Zodiac thought was so spellbinding. Gone without a trace. On Sunday morning, California police who have been tracking Kowalski's movements set up a roadblock with two bulldozers in the small town of Cisco, which Kowalski was passing through. A small crowd gathers, some with cameras. Kowalski approaches at high speed, failing to slow down. He smiles as he crashes into the bulldozers, destroying the car in an explosion. As firemen work to put out the flames, the crowd slowly disperses. Dude, there was open fields around both those bulldozers. All those other times he cut in the first chase, he cut onto the opposite side of the road and drove against an 18-wheeler. And now all of a sudden we're to believe that he doesn't know how to turn off of around those freaking bulldozers.
Okay, this is the most
nonsense.
You literally, what the hell? Look, the vanishing piss. There, I've said it. Vanishing piss kicks you in the F word balls. You've got to the end of the film and it kicks you in the balls. You've suffered it, Ross, for 1 hour 30 minutes. It's Corner Rant Revisited time. You get to the end of this piece of shit and it kicks you in the balls.
Bad.
The Last American Hero, literally. I'm not going to bother driving around it.
Show me how to live video.
I'm just going to smash into the bulldozers, and then this weird kind of belated trailer for Woodstock, the Desert Edition, with all these people gathered to.
What the hell?
I'm like, where's the payoff here? Where's the payoff? We've just wasted 1 hour 40 minutes watching this crap. This guy's been built up to some point, and then it just decides, no, we're going to kick you in the balls. That's it. Most unsatisfying ending ever.
I don't know who directed the remake, but I have to assume with Keith David. When I was looking for this, I popped it on because just the first one that came up on YouTube, and it was that remake, and I was like, oh, Viggo Mortensen. I was like, oh, Keith David, now we're getting somewhere. This is about to be sick. And then I was like, oh, wait, this is 97, and I had to dial it back to 71 real quick with this piece of shite that Gaz has been explaining, doing his best to explain to you, because Vanishing plot, the plot vanishes around the second act. So that was shite. We can talk.
Should we do ratings and get into the articles?
No, we're gonna get into some of the minutia of how the sausage of this shite sausage was made, and talk about production and really deep dive and try to deconstruct how deep this shite vortex goes. So, production development. Screenplay was written by G. Cabrera Infantanti, a Cuban living in England under the pseudonym Guillermo Cain. The story was based on two actual events: the disgraced career of a San Diego police officer and a high-speed pursuit of a man who refused to stop and was killed when he crashed into police roadblock. So, sounds like all this source material is pretty interesting, guys. Much more so than this film. The Infantati modeled the character of Super Soul after legendary rock and roll singer The Big Bopper. His script reflected the popular counterculture lifestyle of the time, containing elements of rebellion, drugs, sexual freedom, and rock and roll. In '69, director Richard C. Sarafian turned down an offer to make Robert Redford's Downhill Racer in order to direct Vanishing Point. Sounds like a tough choice on his career, guys. He was drawn to the counterculture themes in Kane's script. Originally, the director wanted Gene Hackman to play Kowalski. Hackman would have never took that crap. But 20th Century Fox executive Richard Zanuck insisted on casting relative unknown Barry Newman in the lead role. The film marked the first major screen appearances of Cleavon Little and John Amos. Funds for the film were raised through Cupid Films, the company of Michael Pearson. The budget was raised from the Bank of America in London. The film had to be shot in the U.S. because of the story. Producer Norman Spencer called it a sort of runaway production in reverse.
That's probably accurate, that last part. Literally does go in reverse.
It's a runaway plot. It's a runaway plot in reverse. I don't know about runaway production. Vehicles. According to Sarah Fyan, it was Zanuck who came up with the idea of using the 1970 Dodge Challenger. He wanted to do Chrysler a favor for their longtime practice of renting cars to the 20th Century Fox for $1 a day. Many of the cars featured in the film are also Chrysler products. Stunt coordinator Kerry Lofton said he requested the Dodge Challenger because of the quality of the torsion bar suspension and for its horsepower, and felt that it was a real sturdy, good running car. 5 Alpine white Dodge Challenger RTs were lent to the production by Chrysler for promotional consideration and were returned upon completion of filming. 4 cars had 440 engines equipped with 4-speed manual transmissions. The 5th car was a 383 with a 3-speed automatic. No special equipment was added or modifications made to the cars except for heavier duty shock absorbers for the car that jumped over the no-name creek. The Challengers were prepared and maintained for the movie by Max Blachowski, who also prepared the Mustangs and Chargers for Bullitt in '68. The cars performed to Lofton's satisfaction, although dust came to be a problem. None of the engines were supercharged, but sound effects of a supercharger were added in post-production for some scenes. Lofton remembers that parts were taken out of one car to repair another because they really ruined a couple of those cars while jumping ramps between highways and over creeks. Newman remembers that the 440 engines of the cars were so powerful that it was almost as if there was too much power for the body. You'd put it in first, and it would almost rear back. The Challengers appear in the film with Colorado plates OA5599. Much more interesting than the film, guys.
Yeah, much more.
Much more. Filming. Principal photography began in the summer of '70 with a planned shooting of schedule of 60 days. Financial troubles plaguing the studio at the time forced Zanuck to shorten Sarafian's shooting schedule by 22 days. In response, the director decided not to film certain scenes rather than rush through the rest of the shoot. An average day of filming involved the actors and the crew of 19 men spending many hours traveling to the remote locations, shooting for an extended period of time, and then looking for a motel to spend the night. The shoot had a few mishaps, included Newman driving a Challenger equipped with 3 cameras into the bushes in order to avoid a head-on collision when a civilian driver ignored the traffic blocks installed to ensure the safety of the crew. Yeah, that's a tough one. They have a super complex down here, guys, on the South Shore that it's like a digital, one of those like digital film like production buildings, and they're working. They basically have like a stretch of desert, and they're working to try to build a stretch of highway there, custom for films. That way, movies can use a custom private highway. You know, because that was the problem here. They blocked it off, and some a-hole drove through. Like, I got to get my truckload. You know what I mean? And then like Newman was like, oh, you know. So like that would be pretty cool if they could pull that off in San Diego, because then productions like this probably won't really have that problem anymore as long as they use it. Traffic. The film cinematographer John Alonzo used lightweight Aeroflex 2 cameras that offered more free movement. Close-up and medium shots were achieved by mounting cameras directly on the vehicles instead of on the common practice of filming the drivers from a tow that drove ahead of the targeted vehicle. To convey the appearance of speed, the filmmakers slowed the film rate of the cameras. For example, in the scenes with the Challenger and the Jaguar, the camera's film rate was slowed to half speed. The cars were traveling at approximately 50 miles per hour, so that when projected at normal frame rate, they appeared to be moving much faster. Vanishing Point was filmed on location in the American Southwest, the states of Colorado, Utah, Nevada, California. Looks like that was Cisco, Utah. A lot of Utah, a lot of Nevada. Dean Jagger's scenes were shot on the Salt Lakes of Nevada. Super Soul's radio station was in Goldfield, Nevada. All of Cleavon Little's scenes were completed in under 3 days. Kerry Lofton was the film's stunt coordinator and responsible for setting up and performing the major driving stunts. Lofton's resume at the time included work on, damn it, I clicked the link, Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Huh?
It was Grand Prix 1966.
Yeah.
It was the French Connection. And
Bullet 68.
Yep.
Yep. Barry Newman learned from Lofton and was encouraged by the stunt coordinator to do some of his own stunts in the scene before Kowalski crashes into the bulldozer. Newman drove and performed a 180-degree turn on the road himself without the director's knowledge. It's pretty sick. He was like, take a look at this, dude, you noob. That's pretty... When the stunt coordinator is like punking the director, you know at the level of the production's at. He's like, you know what? I don't like where you guys are going with it. How about this?
Yeah.
Just put that in there. The 383 car was also used as a tow vehicle in the crash scene at the end of the movie. A quarter-mile cable was attached between the Challenger and explosives-laden 67 Chevrolet Camaro with a motor and transmission removed. The tow vehicle was driven by Lofton, who pulled the Camaro into the blades of the bulldozers at high speed. Lofton expected the car to go end over end, but instead it stuck into the bulldozers, which he thought looked better. And we'll definitely skip reception. We're almost out of here, folks. Ending. Gaz and I covered this.
Yeah.
Barry Newman offered his interpretation of the film's ending in an interview printed in March 86 of Muscle Car Review. Kowalski smiles as he rushes to his death at the end of the Vanishing Point because he believes he will make it through the roadblock. August, is that like a result of taking too much speed? August 06 issue of Motor Trend has a sidebar with Newman in which he explains that Kowalski sees the light glinting from between the two bulldozers. To Kowalski, it was still a hole to escape through. It symbolized that no matter how far they push or chase you, no one could truly take away your freedom, and there's always an escape. Newman also thought that the entire film was an essay on existentialism. Kowalski drives to drive with no real purpose for doing what he's doing. He decides to give his life its definition and meaning with complete freedom over his actions. Serafian explained that he wanted to make Kowalski appear otherworldly and that the world within the film was a temporary existence that he was just making a stop in. At the end of the film, he was ascending from this existence to another. The lyrics of the end song underscores interpretation. Nobody knows, nobody sees till the light of life stops burning, till another soul goes free. Wow, how existential, guys. Skipping UK release. Soundtrack was Gaz's favorite part.
Oh, I can't get enough of it.
He's listening on his headphones right now.
I am right now.
Serafian wanted to score the majority of the film with an album called Motel Shot by Delaney, Bonnie and Friends. Lionel Newman, head of Fox's music department at the time, denied Serafian's request because the studio did not want to spend a substantial amount of money obtaining its rights to the tracks. The director then suggested that musician Randy Newman score the film, but Fox refused this request as well. After watching the film, musical supervisor Jimmy Bowen wrote 3 original songs. Delaney, Boney, and Friends ended up performing a musical number of the film. The soundtrack was released in the U.S. by Amos Records. The original vinyl is long out of print. There have been reissues of compact disc. Gaz and I don't recommend listening to it. Gonna see. Oh wait, there is looks like there is some video game connection, guys. We're going to skip reception, go straight to legacy. The movie is considered a cult classic, one of Spielberg's favorites. Edgar Wright named it one of his 1,000 films and used it as inspiration for his 2017 film Baby Driver. Death Proof 2007, the Tarantino-directed contribution to the faux exploitation double feature Grindhouse, features a chase involving a Dodge Challenger resembling the one seen at Vantage Point, not being an RT model and having an automatic transmission. Death Proof also references the film by name, repeatedly calling it one of the best American movies ever made. The car in the film also has license plate OA5599, so there's Tarantino's little Easter egg. I'm sure you enjoyed that, guys.
Oh, yeah, he's one of my favorites, so definitely.
We'll skip the ratings. Who cares? The music. Vanishing Point was inspiration for Primal Scream's 97 album with the same name. I don't know who Primal Scream is. Super Soul's Last American Hero speech was also incorporated in the lyrics of Guns N' Roses' song Breakdown from their album Use Your Illusion 2. The film was basis for Audio Slave's music video Show Me How to Live 2003, directed by the AV Club, which included members of the band in the 1970 Challenger traveling across the desert following the plot of the movie. Cleveland Little also appears in the videos. There's an unreleased song, I Can't Believe It. Haven't heard of that guy. Don't know who. New Order have a track on their Technique album called Vanishing Point. On November 10th, 2021, The Late Show with Colbert, Bruce Springsteen named Vanishing Point as his favorite action film. Dude, Bruce Springsteen does not know what an action film movie is. Video game and other references. The video game Grid 2 features a trophy achievement called Vanishing Point with the description reading, "You've won a race in a white Dodge Challenger, but lived to tell the tale, unlike Kowalski." The video game Driver San Francisco includes a movie challenge entitled Vanishing Chance, which involves piloting a white 1970 Dodge Challenger. Remake! Pixie's favorite category. A remake of the film was created for Fox Television, first airing in 97 and featuring a 70 Dodge Challenger. The film stars Viggo Mortensen as Jimmy Kowalski. In this version, the character has a first name. Kowalski is written as a suspected militia sympathizer from Idaho, and Jason Priestley as the voice, a white libertarian talk show radio shock jock who replaces Super Soul. The sequence of events of the two films is vaguely similar, but the remake removed all the original's mystical, existential elements, replacing them with a religious motivation for Kowalski's actions. Among many other changes, it also added a sequence in which two cops attempt to chase down the Challenger in a black 1968 Dodge Charger. Home media, blah, 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 blah. Let's go to the... let's go to the Richard Grinell stuff.
I mean, should we do ratings on this now, or at the?
I mean, we could. We could save it for the end, or we could do ratings now. I don't care.
Do you want to do ratings on it now and then go into the more?
Yeah, do yours, and then I'll grab my phone and I'll pull up the IMDb.
Yeah, so my rating literally is 3 out of 10. It's a bottle of urine.
Van pissing piss.
It is. It's vanishing piss.
It's piss.
Look, the car is. Look, the positives, as we said, the car is great. The engine sound of the car is great. Some of the early chase scenes are good. There could have been a good film from this. There is a setup, but sadly, it just literally vanishes, and then it becomes this weird kind of hippie, random journey through the desert, I guess, with well, that's again, Spin, that's probably one of the most interesting things about it. It's a cool title, Vanishing Point, but that's probably one of the only positives. Barry Newman's decent, to be fair. Cleveland Little's good as well. Those are the only positives I can really say. Then it's just this weird hippie trip and a bore with a very unsatisfying ending, especially when you see the side of the road, Ross. So
it tried to be like all those other like psychedelic 60s like movies, and it just didn't stick any of the themes that an Easy Rider has, or you know what I mean.
So 3 out of 10. Not one I'd recommend unless if you really want to watch it.
It's a 7.2 out of 10 on IMDb, which is surprising because how weird the plot is. But it's an hour, 39 minutes, rated R. I'm not as low as Gaz. I'd give it like a 4. I'm going to give it a pity 5 out of 10, just because that first act has some cool sequences in it. But beyond that, it starts
on the first act.
Really whack. Really, really whack. All right, let me get these shares up so we can get these Grinell sites going. And I'll toss that up. Go and do some shouts real quick, guys. I just want to get a refill.
All right, no problem. So again, shout outs to everybody for joining us. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. If there are some better car movies that you would like us to review, then we can do so from any era, and we'll get to it. That would be quite the Mad Max movies, especially. I think Spin, you were mentioning those, the Legacy trilogy last week, so we can certainly add that to the list. Welcome.
Yeah,
back,
we got
Ross.
Fury Road on the we got Fury Road on the schedule, so we'll start with that.
Yeah.
We can work our way back in the trilogy. But yeah, if anybody wants to talk some Zodiac, you know what I mean, I'll take kind of random questions today. But in the meantime, let's get into the Grinell stuff. So, so I always thought, you know what I mean, we know that in the Times letter, you know, I reenacted that in episode 3, my Sherry Joe Bates episode. But when he mentions the blue meanies, guys, obviously the common reference, I think I actually have one, but what did I end up doing that? It might be up on my shelf somewhere. I have a blue meanie guy in the box. I don't know where it ended up. It's around here somewhere. But oh, wait, here it is. Speaking of our boys.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, Yellow Submarine is obviously the shit. So, but yeah, I always love. Ever since I was like 5 and I saw the look of those, I always thought that was one of the coolest characters ever. But anyway, so the common pop culture reference is like the blue meanies from Yellow Submarine, which I thought that's what Zodiac was referencing, because if you remember, in the Manson family crimes, they wrote Helter Skelter on the wall, and they made all these Beatle references, supposedly because what Charlie was listening to. So shortly after that, Zodiac gets his headline stolen from him, right? So the common theory was he was also referencing the Beatles to imitate what they were doing, mimic, etc. So let's see what Grinell says about this stuff, and he has the trailer posted on. I actually have these links posted below in the description if you guys care to read along. So. Here's some interesting observations regarding the Los Angeles letter postmarked Pleasanton, Alameda County, and mailed to the Los Angeles Times on March 13th, 1971. This marked a shift in assumed Zodiac correspondence from mailings in San Francisco to elsewhere. This communication was followed, albeit 3 years later, by the Exorcist letter postmarked San Mateo or Santa Clara County. Then the SLA letter postmarked Los Angeles, the Badlands card, check out me and Gaz's Badlands episode, postmarked Alameda County. We went over to the Grinell connection there. And finally, the Red Phantom letter postmarked San Rafael, Marin County. 3 of the 474 communications, excuse me, talking about that PP film, just got my throat torn up, guys. I'm hurting now. Referred to films including The Exorcist, an American horror film released on December 26, 73, Badlands, a spree killer movie released on March 24th, 74, and The Red Phantom, a film that played on April 27th to 28th of 74 at the Lyric Theater in Mill Valley, California, Marin County. Bearing in mind the deviation in the areas these communications were mailed from, I consider that the March 13th, 71 LA letter may also have been inspired by a film. Despite finding a likely answer to this question, I then discovered that somebody else had already came to the same conclusion in 2008. Nevertheless, I will feature it here and add a little extra to the equation for people unaware of this connection. March 13th, 71, LA letter stated, "This is the Zodiac speaking. Like I have always said, I'm crack proof. If the blue meanies are ever going to catch me," or to actually say Zodiac, Evere are going to catch me, whatever the hell that means, guys, are ever going to catch me, they had best get off their fat asses and do something, because the longer they fiddle and fart around, the more slaves I will collect for my afterlife. I do have to give them credit for stumbling across my Riverside activity, but they are only finding the easy ones. There are a hell of a lot more down there. The reason I'm writing to the Times is this: they don't bury me on the back pages like some of the others. Yeah, Zodiac's voice changed because he's older now. Everybody knows the Blue Meanies connection from Yellow Submarine, a fictional army of beings who allegorically represent all the bad people in the world. The author of the 71 letter used this to represent the police. People's Park in Berkeley, California is a park located off Telegraph Avenue, bounded by Haste and Bowditch Streets and Dwight Way near the University of California, Berkeley. The park was created during the radical political activism of the late 1960s. The local South Side neighborhood was the scene of a major confrontation between student protesters and police on May 15, 69. Reinforcements were called in from Alameda County Sheriff's Office, who arrived carrying shotguns and shells of buckshot. They wore pale blue jumpsuits and were quickly nicknamed the Blue Meanies. The author of the 71 letter used the term Blue Meanies, but notably the letter was mailed from Alameda County rather than San Francisco. Was the author of the letter integral to the People's Park uprising, or just somebody who remembered it from the news? A little bit of interesting history there, guys. One other notable event at Telegraph Avenue, Berkeley, at the same period has often been touted as potential Zodiac occurrence. The latter half of 68, in Telegraph Avenue, Berkeley. 2 girls were offered a lift by a brown-haired man estimated at 30 to 40 years of age, yet despite politely declining his offer, indicating their Volkswagen was parked up on the nearby avenue, it appeared he was determined to lure the girls into his vehicle. After declining his offer, they proceeded to a local snack bar where they remained chatting for approximately 45 minutes. After leaving the snack bar, they headed back to their vehicle only to discover that they were unable to start the Volkswagen. When the man that had encountered earlier promptly reappeared to offer his assistance once more, the man helped the girls push the vehicle along the road when a second man came along to assist in their plight, but this only seemed to infuriate the initial Good Samaritan, who then, apparently annoyed by a perceived intrusion, got back in his car and made a hasty exit from the scene. Sometime later, it was discovered that their car had been tampered with, the distributor cap having been torn from the engine, similar in fashion to Cherry Joe Bates' Volkswagen Beetle. Was the Zodiac killer somehow integral to Berkeley during the 68 and 69 and the March 13th, 71 Los Angeles letter drawing from this experience, or was the LA letter fashioned by yet another political activist piggybacking off other Zodiac crimes? The Vanishing Point film was released in 71, so bearing in mind the propensity of certain Zodiac communications to reference movies, in particular the 74 letters, what relationship did this film have to the March 13th, 71 LA letter? Well, the film was released to the public on the USA on March 13th, 71, but it had the usual trailer before the film's release. He looks like he's got a screen grab there from the film. Anything going on in the chat, Gazi? Because I can't really see it. Marin County, like Win. Marin.
Yeah, not too much at the moment.
Marin. Needs more water.
So, yeah, I think it's contagious. I need some now.
The film itself features Kowalski driving a 70 Dodge Challenger to San Francisco. Through flashbacks and police reading of his record, we learned that Kowalski is a Medal of Honor Vietnam veteran, former race car driver and motorcycle driver. He was a former police officer who was quickly promoted to detective, likely for preventing the R word of a young female suspect by his partner at the back of their patrol car. We learned that he was dishonorably discharged from the force, and although the record is classified, other flashbacks hint at the cause. During what was supposed to be an investigation and apprehension of a beautiful woman, Kowalski goes native and falls for the lovely blonde Vera. Rather than arrest her, he allows her to surf off into the sunset on a cold winter day, once again showing that he understands the people he is charged to deal with as fellow humans rather than just criminals. A newspaper later claims her as his girlfriend, emphasizing that the classified nature of the case was never revealed. Driving west across Colorado, Kowalski is pursued by 2 motorcycle police officers who try to stop him for speeding. Recalling his days as a motorcycle racer, he forces one off the road and eludes the other officer by jumping across a dry creek bed. Later, the driver of the Jaguar E-Type Roadster pulls up along Kowalski, challenges to a race as the this is the same Wikipedia we went over anyway. You guys remember it, but here is some of the wording from the trailer. They want to get him and put him away, but they'll have to catch him first. The author of the LA letter stated, if the blue meanies are ever going to catch me, they had better get off their fat asses and do something. The trailer of the film continued with the radio host from KOW reporting the chase. And there goes the Challenger being chased by the blue meanies on wheels. So was the Vanishing Point trailer the inspiration for the March 13th, 71 LA letter, with this mailing date deliberately manufactured to match up with the release date of the film? Couple comments there that you guys can go over yourself. So what do you think about that one, Spins and Needles? Did you already know about these connection there? And then he's got one more article. That was the Blue Meanies articles. Both of these are posted below should you guys care to read along. Let me see if I can get this next one up for y'all. And we're less than an hour in. This is night and short for us, guys. We might even get out of here today with some day to enjoy. Screen. I think it's this one. Bong, bong, ba, bong, ba, oops. Vanishing Point. He talks about some Donna Lassen here, which is pretty interesting. I don't know if you've seen these shows on the topic, Gaz, or heard what we've talked about Donna before, but a couple possible Zodiac correspondences come in kind of later into the timeline. This is years after the Zodiac crimes, and he references this nurse that went missing from a casino that's right on the California-Nevada border. And then nobody knows if this has any connection to Zodiac exactly, but he might have had some vague unclaimed letters that kind of referenced this missing persons case. And then we did get some Donna news a couple years back that her skull was actually recovered by like some hikers that found remains of her up in this area, and I believe it's Northern California area. It's like the ski country, basically. You know what I mean? Yeah. So this is one of the few, because the rest of the Zodiac cases are like totally cold, that we did get an update on, but all we got was like they recovered her, and that's really it. No real like. Most likely it was like kind of like the stuff you see in Vanishing Point, where it's like, you know, somebody probably kidnapped her and brought her somewhere. You know what I mean? But it's whether it has a Zodiac connection or not is still iffy. In the previous article, we discussed the feature film Vanishing Point, which previewed in January of 71, had the usual trailers, and was released to the general public on March 13th, 71, the exact mailing date of the LA Times letter, presumably authored by the Zodiac killer. Here are some of the wording for the trailer. You guys heard it before. Get away, catch him first. The author of the LA Times letter stated, if the Blue Meanies are ever going to catch me, they'd best get off their fat asses and do something. The trailer of the film continued with the radio host, Blue Meanies. So was the Vanishing Point trailer inspiration for the March 13th, 71 LA letter, with its mailing date deliberately manufactured to marry up with the release date of the film? The LA letter arrived 6 months after the disappearance of Donna Ann Lass, who vanished close to the end of her shift at the Sahara Tahoe Hotel and Casino, never to be seen again. That's the Hard Rock now, guys. 9 days after the LA Times letter, another communication arrived at the SF Chronicle entitled "The Pines Card." Harvey Hines, former detective, wrote, after studying the card, I drove to Norden, located at Old Highway 40 north of Lake Tahoe, and found the Sierra Club. I learned that the club was not called the Sierra Club. It was named the Claire Tappan Lodge, and it was a private club for Sierra Club members only. I believed if I followed the directions in the postcard, I would find Donna Lass's grave. I believe she was buried near the Sierra Club and most likely on the Donner Ski Ranch. I would later have the pictures of the Sierra Club developed. Then, using a copy of Zodiac's card, I cut out the phrases he had pasted on his card. Using these phrases, I overpasted them on the copy of the Sierra Club picture. It was strikingly similar to the original card. Bearing in mind the Pines card was mailed just over a week after the LA Times letter, I considered whether the Vanishing Point film had any connection to the Sierra Club, Claire Tappan Lodge by Lake Tahoe, and if Donna Lass could have been buried near the lodge. Harvey Hines speculated that the young woman may have been buried near to this location, stating, I believe she was buried near the Sierra Club, and the Zodiac killer was leaving us a trail of breadcrumbs in the Pines card. The final scene in Vanishing Point was filmed in Cisco, Utah, but in the film it was portrayed as Cisco, California. This is the location that the film's main character, Kowalski, met his death. Kowalski picks up the Challenger, plus a load of uppers in Colorado, and bets the dealer he can get from Colorado to San Francisco in 15 hours, which underpins and gives purpose to the mad cross-country chase. Seraphian originally intended to end the film in San Francisco, somewhat reversing the notion of Bullitt's iconic chase scene by having cars race up the hills of the city by the bay rather than down. But after a visit, he and the production team didn't sense a warm welcome there and weren't sure they could do the stunts and chase scenes the way they wanted to. So they elected to bring the chase and thus Kowalski's life to an end in Cisco, California, a mostly abandoned town northwest of Lake Tahoe. Cisco, California is 10.55 miles west of Claire Tappan Lodge. If you pass the Lake Tahoe areas, including the lodge, you arrive at this point. Donna Ann Lass was vanished from her place of work at the Lake Tahoe Casino, but does the Vanishing Point film mirror the location where her life came to an end, or possibly her final resting place like the death of Kowalski? Cisco, California is in Placer County, the burial site of murder victim Judith Hikari, March 7th, 1970, also a nurse. At 11 p.m., Hikari calls her fiancé to tell him she's leaving the Sutter Memorial Hospital, where she works by a nurse. By 1:30 in the morning, she's still not come home. Her fiancé, waiting at her apartment, begins to worry. He went out to the apartment complex parking lot and discovered a car was parked in the assigned space that she had, Link said. But Judith was nowhere to be seen. She was found 1 month later, strangled and bludgeoned to death. Some hikers discovered a body in a shallow grave up in the town of Waymar in Placer County. and during their investigation, they determined that it was Judith Akari. So that's like another similar case to Donna Lass. So I'd have to pull up the map, Cisco to Claire Tappan Lodge, because I think she was found in the Yuba. Donna Lass was found in the Yuba Gap. So let's see how far that is. Maps. Say Cisco, CA, and then what is his map going to? His map is going to Claire Tappan Lodge. Directions. Claire Tappan Lodge. So that's just like northwest of Lake Tahoe, like you were saying. I'll try to pull up the map for you guys.
Yeah, I do have a question related to this, but I'll wait. I'll wait till we get past this.
Yeah, it's not going to take us to. Which one? There it is. Boom. So that's there. So let's say add a destination. The Yuba Gap, California. Where's the Yuba Gap? Spalding. Get rid of one of these. The Yuba Gap it's Camp Spalding. It's there. So let's see. Let's test his. Yeah, holy crap. I don't know if you've updated this, Richard, but yeah, I think your theory is pretty right on, because the Emigrant Gap and Cisco's there. So she's actually found very close. How many miles? That's like 10 miles. Yeah. I don't know if you've upgraded this theory updated this theory, Richard, since you posted this in 2019, but I'd say this is right on, man. That's even closer than Claire Tappan Lodge, because the lodge is all the way over there. Cisco to where she's found in the Gap is right here. So yeah, if anyone has the exact location, I guess it's somewhere in Placer County. Very interesting. I just wanted to test the theory, guys. You had a question, brother?
Two. I'll go with this one first. So, what was the last film connection with the Zodiac? The last
that we
film
covered?
That was connected to him. Yeah, or no, in general with his with the
reference
case.
in the timeline.
Yeah.
Probably The Exorcist. So his last letter that's confirmed. You know, as we were saying, a few more letters come out, but in terms of so Richard listed him off in the article, right? But in terms of the last confirmed one, The Exorcist. Yeah. If you go by what we covered, which was the Badlands, the Red Phantom, and Vanishing Point. Let me pull up what he says. So Exorcist is 74. And then the SLA letter, the Badlands, I think, maybe help me out, Steven, if you know that. That might be. So 3 of the 4, they all come in 74. Exorcist, American Horror Film, released in 73. Badlands, released on March 24th, 74. And then the Red Phantom. But he says it played at the Lyric Theater April 27th, to April 28th of 74. But I think the Red Phantom is like a very old, like Spanish, like black and white. So even though it played at that date, I think the actual film came out in like the 20s or 30s or something. Like it's an old silent film.
So again, if there's people watching from the true crime community wondering what's this guy asking, or I have zero true crime knowledge, and blah blah blah. So
it seems it's like those 3 movies. It's Exorcist, Badlands, then Vanishing Point, and then like Red Phantom, but that doesn't really fit the timeline.
So did he? So when he released wrote a letter connected with The Exorcist, we will know what did he say connected to The Exorcist with how he put it in the letter? Then
the way he worded it was, I just saw The Exorcist, and it was the finest. It was the, what did he say? It was the most. Damn, I forgot the word now. He said it was the most comical. He said it was the most comical. They're the finest comedy tragic or dramatic comedy I've ever seen. Yeah. So he was trying to make a joke that like that was the hardcore horror movie at the time, and everyone was scared of it. He was trying to like make the satirical comedy. That's what he called it. It's the finest satirical comedy I've seen. So he was trying to make the joke that I'm so demented that The Exorcist was nothing. It was a comedy to me.
Right. Got you.
Yeah.
And just before I fire this other question, I have absolutely no idea who this is. So Badlands seemed way more like Charles Starkweath. So
yeah, she told us that it was like a real life like a dude that went on a killing spree with his girlfriend.
Yeah. I remember now. Pixie, sorry, yeah. I remember. I looked it up. Yeah. And the other one, I mean, this has probably been addressed on shows. So there's a comment on the article featuring the press release of the missing nurse from Tahoe. Right bottom, there's an anonymous comment that says Don Harden was the Zodiac.
It's nonsense. So Don Harden
is that someone trolling then?
Well, no, people actually believe that, but there's a lot of trolling in the Zodiac case. So Don Harden and his wife are two teachers that were the first people to break the first Zodiac cipher. They saw it in the newspaper and they sat down together and they just, so like a lot of people like to say like, oh, well, but that first cipher wasn't that hard to break. It wasn't like the next couple ciphers that, every cipher can be created in a different like algorithm, right? For lack of a better word. So it can have a totally different process. So he had an easier one that he sent the first time because he wanted them to find the answer
hook them in, isn't it? Get them
then the next ones he made them more difficult to decipher, or he made mistakes, either both. So they took way longer. Like one of them took 50 years with a computer program to crack. But a lot of people point to that guy and say, well, he broke the first Zodiac cipher. He's the Zodiac. But would you put your face all over the new, because when he broke that, they said like Don Harden and his wife broke the Zodiac's first cipher, so there were tons of articles about them. If you were the Zodiac, would you put you and your wife's face all over the newspaper and have it spread around so everyone knows it's you? And like that was a risk for him because he could be like, dude, they said like Don, it was way easier to find people back then. You just looked them up in the phone book. So it's like Don Harden, Zodiac just goes to his house and shoots him. That was that was a risk for him. It didn't happen, but it's like, the Zodiac's out there driving around shooting people at random, and now your face is all over the newspaper as the guy who broke his first cipher. It's like it could have been a risk, Yeah,
you're not gonna. You want to leave more or less a big arrow pointing to your name in that address book.
Yeah, for sure. You're not. You're not going to be after you're Don Harden. You're not going to go hanging out at dead ends like the rest of like the other Zodiac victims were, just waiting for that to happen to you. Yeah, bro, big time. But so that's the Don Harden thing. It's really not much, but I really like where he was going with that Donna Lass stuff. Shout out to Richard Grinell. Go check out his ZodiacCiphers.com. Shoot him a donation, guys. He's been putting in work for years, and he covers a lot of different topics, so not everything always pans out because Richard, you have thousands of articles on there, but really good resource. And I really like his stuff on the movies. Like he's the one that kind of nailed down that 74 stuff you were asking about, which, obviously would have been like the LA Times letter and relating to, those 74. So when me and him talked about it, he didn't think the SLA letter was like authentic Zodiac. Most of us agree that The Exorcist is. The Badlands is like 50-50. I think it is personally, but it's also, when me and you did that show, it's a way different tone. When he did the other letters, he has like super fast handwriting. He's spelling simple words wrong. Like when he said satirical comedy on Exorcist, to give you an example, he switched the I from the E from comedy and the I from satirical in the two words. So he wrote it in like a strange way. But then when he wrote the Badlands, he was like pretending to be a concerned citizen. So he had like 6 and 7 syllable words spelled right. So my theory is that was a little glimmer of like what he really is like, you know what I mean? Whereas like he's smart enough. He's obviously not misspelling, simple words and stuff because he's writing about like chemicals from the periodic table. And so like he goes back and forth between like I'm an idiot and then all of a sudden, like, I'm smart again, if you know what I'm saying? It's, like, inconsistent through all the letters. So, like, my theory is I think the Badlands is probably a bit more what he was like later in his life when he wasn't doing that Zodiac persona because he was obviously trying to, write things, spell words wrong and just do simple things to try to cover up what his real personality was, for lack of a better word. But, so the other references would be, like, The Most Dangerous Game, which he said, like, man is the most dangerous animal of all in his first letter. So, but the thing is, there's tons of versions of the Most Dangerous Game, right? There's that short story. There's like 3 or 4 movies and remakes that drop right in the beginning. So no idea what he could have been referencing in that one. And then I don't know have you seen any of the Charlie Chan movies where he's like that cop from SF? He's like an Asian dude. So
I've heard of him, but I haven't seen the movies. No.
I'll send you this trailer. So like, obviously you've seen like the old school Most Dangerous Game trailers, the black and white ones, but I'll send you the one for Charlie Chan at Treasure Island. That's really interesting because in that movie, he's like this cop that's investigating like a magician that there's like a villain. There's also like a villain in the movie going around killing people. And the villain in the movie is named like Dr. Zodiac, but they call him like Zodiac, and he dresses in black, and he's this other magician masquerading another. So between like the Most Dangerous Game and Charlie Chan at Treasure Island, it seems like those were like the 2 closest like Zodiac movies in terms of what he was doing, persona wise.
There's a question there from Spin.
Do you think Z's nemesis was really the police SFPD, or was he just playing games? I mean, he probably thought of him that way. I mean, I don't really know, because like I don't. Even though Vallejo and like Benicia, like those are small towns, so like I obviously he went for the big city cop, right? When he went for Paul Stein at Presidio Heights. So, but we got to keep in mind, like SFPD really wasn't on the case for the first 3 canonicals. It's like, who's he worried about? Napa Sheriff's Department, you know what I mean? Like those are all like way in the middle of nowhere jurisdictions. Vallejo, Benicia, Napa, even if you want to say Solano County, you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. And I don't know how hot the FBI was on his trail at the time, because there was a lot going on. So, a lot of turbulent times between the Manson crimes and the Zodiac crimes.
So someone who's such an expert on this, I am referring to myself sarcastically, of course.
Detective.
So I'm going to ask a question you've probably, members in this community have been asked 900 million times, so I'm going to ask it again. How close do you think, okay, since you started investigating this case, Ross, and the work you've done so far, and people that you correspond with and met, etc., how close do you think you all are to possibly solving this case, revealing the identity of who the Zodiac was? Or is it still a case of there's a couple of close suspects and it's kind of shortening it down to the prime suspect, I guess? Loaded question for you.
Can you just run that last part back about the suspects? I got everything up to that.
So, how close? First part, how close are you now, do you think, to solving this case? And then 2, second part, loaded question, of course, Ross. Not like I've never done that before in the many interviews we've done. Part 2, or is there a current list of, say, 4 candidates that you are looking at who could be the prime suspect? Like, you've looked at everyone else, we've got it down to say these 4.
I can answer the second part in a nuanced way. Well, so I'll answer it like in terms of the community. Like, we're totally 50-50. There's people that think like it will never be because it hasn't yet. Like I just said, you had those 5 jurisdictions plus the FBI and everybody else trying to break the ciphers, and nothing ever came of it. But like Tom Voigt, he's the one who did ZodiacKiller.com. He's like kind of the guy that kind of championed the website online, at least, or the case online for years, and all the documentaries and stuff. Tom Voigt thinks it's solvable. I think it's solvable. I might even be in the minority. Of course, like Drew Beeson, who you've seen me interview, he kind of has his answer. I mean, I don't know about 3 or 4 suspects because the mainstream suspects don't really seem to fit the forensics. Right. But it all comes down to if you think that Zodiac is in that milieu of the Vallejo characters who are like Arthur Lee Allen, who's the prime suspect of the movie, but that's based on Robert Graysmith's book. It's just a suspect, right? It's not the suspect, but it got a lot of fanfare because there's a major book and a major movie about it, so it kind of controls the narrative. So
with that said, then I'm going to put you on the ice here, Ross. At the moment, do you have your own personal theory and idea of who it could be? Is there someone stands out you think this maybe is likely who the Zodiac is?
Oh man, you might need to move this to a Zodiac show, guys, because you're dropping something right now that I've been breadcrumbing my audience for like 5 years with that. So I mean, the people know who my suspect is. I do have one. I don't have the suspect's name, but like, as far as my theory, it's never changed. I've always thought it was either like a cult member, because the satanic panic and satanic worship, Luciferian activity was at its height in '69. Like, with the Summer of Love and the hippie movement going on, people forget there was a lot of dark, like, Antoine LaVey and the Church of Satan was also at its height. So actually, my boy Jerome, he wanted to come on Hellraiser with us. He sent me the picture of what's her name? Was it Susan Atkins from the Manson family, when she went to the Church of Satan? And there's these two executioners holding axes, and their hoods look exactly like the Zodiac hood. Well, not exactly like it, but very, very close. So I've always said that, like, the Z Executioner costume looks like the hoods that, those dudes in the Church of Satan were wearing. So that's kind of my loosely based theory. And that is based on Antoine LaVey's grandson said his mom told him that they had dinner with a merchant marine that was a weird dude that his mom, Antoine LaVey's wife, thought was the Zodiac, because he was a merchant marine and he used to send her coded letters, like Zodiac sent ciphers to the newspapers. So they had dinner with him, and she was like looking for a tell that he was the Zodiac, but she said, the moment never came. Again, I don't have the suspect's name, but there's an article about that people can Google. That's just my theory, and I don't say that it's a good or bad theory. I just say it's kind of mine, and it's never really changed, because the Church of Satan also split off in the Temple of Set, which was Thomas Aquino, I believe, was the leader of that. He was like a U.S. military guy. You probably read about some of this MK Ultra. So just those two, and they also have spin-offs and break-offs and subsets, and that's just the two main ones. So there's various branches of Scientology, Luciferianism. Even it's been said that, like, Charlie Manson. So my theory is a little more nuanced. A lot of people just think it's like a lone guy, not connected to anything, and that's the thing about Zodiac. He has so many faces. Arthur Lee Allen, he was like a very like low-income Zodiac, whereas Mike Rodelli has Shadow of Mount Diablo. Shel Cavale is like a famous like car importer from Norway, and he's like a rich guy that lived in Presidio Heights, right near where Paul Stein. So you see what I'm saying here? The range of Zodiac suspects is from like broke mechanic guys with nothing to like a rich like international mogul that flies across. You know what I mean? Because he has so many facets to him. The guns, the knives, the rope, the fire, the ciphers, the math. You kind of have to have all those things, and then of course, right? Some people even think it's like a journalist or like a newspaper connected guy, because when he always wrote like "Dear Editor," that's widely considered to be like a media phrase. So like Richard Garkowski is a dude that owned a kind of like independent like countercultural newspaper. There's a lot to it. So I've always been on the side that it's solvable. Here's the thing: Tom Voigt just posted an article that somebody wrote to him. I think it was former SFPD, that said they had a couple really good cold case guys on Zodiac, but the chief didn't like them getting notoriety from it, so he basically took them off it, and the case has basically sat since. With all the letters Zodiac licked, and possibly licked and sent, they've never even been tested against each other, guys. So if we could at least get the DNA flaps tested against each other, we'd know that all the letters came from one person. We don't even have that. So there's a lot we just don't have in Zodiac. Like, the DB Cooper 71 skyjacking, that tie that the FBI has, they high-res microscope scanned that, and they got all these metallurgical particles off of it. So that almost guaranteed that dude was like some sort of like metal engineer. Right, so they got an idea of what DB Cooper's career was. We have no idea what Zodiac's career was. A lot of people say military intelligence, or you could be in like code breaking or ciphering for like the FBI or CIA. But there's just a lot of things to Zodiac, and we just have such limited knowledge because he only appears 4 nights when he attacks those 4 victims, and then he writes all those letters. So all you know about him is what he told you himself. And then there's like the comic book connections as well. He looks his hood looks a lot like the character Hatemonger, who's like a evil reincarnation of Hitler, like a Marvel character. So there seems to be a movie and comics reference. There's also a Japan reference because there's a character in the Mikado called the Koko, the Lord High Executioner. So his hood could be another play on the character of Koko, which is written by Gilbert and Sullivan. And there's a Groucho Marx connection there. So you know what I mean? There's a lot of layers to the pop cultural references from Lady Doom's Wheel of Death to Gilbert and Sullivan's The Mikado, and then, you know, possibly the blade he used. People have theorized that that's Japanese. So, you know, obviously the Mikado being the Japanese connection. So you have all these things with Zodiac that you don't necessarily have with other crimes, you know, movie references, comic book references, pop culture, some of the symbols he used at the bottom of the Exorcist letter, people have theorized come up out of the Red Rider comic books, which is a like cowboys and Indians connection, you know what I mean? So it just seems to be like a lot of like westerns to ciphers to horror movies to you know, possibly action movies to all this, you know what I mean? You just don't see it. There we go. So yeah, there we go. Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino and Naval Intelligence wrote a book about psyops. What up, Darkseid? Are you enjoying the show? And he was stationed at the Presidio. That's another thing. Aquino was stationed at the Presidio. So I do have a loosely based connection theory there, but nothing that I found anything good on. So I don't know. That's just, some people think I'm too far out, you know, and then there's people that are way past me that's like, it's everything, you know, everything's connected ever, which is unlikely. So,
well, the thing is, it's like with anything, if there's something you are interested in and you can look at the information that is available, do your investigations and develop a theory. Now, if that theory turns out to be right, great. If not, okay, I was wrong. It wasn't that okay. It's
I'm not super attached to it. Yeah, I'm not like other people die on the hill and their career's over. Yeah. Like I literally just threw something out random that was always like my first post on the forum, I think, was asking everyone, hey, do you guys think it could have been like a Church of Satan member? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so. And it's like with anything, because these reviews that we do, folks, and interviews across other areas, not just Zodiac and everything else we've always talked about, which we will get to doing for you. You can make gaffes. We frequently have, or you'll forget something like, that wasn't the name of the album, whatever, that wasn't the soundtrack, and it's not exactly, you just say, hey, we messed up, we forgot that was something. No, I meant that. I'm like, no, you can come back later. Yeah, you're right, it was on that album. Sorry about that. And it's you know.
Yeah, I'm not. Again, it's not something that I'm trying to write a book about or make a career about.
Interesting. I was just curious to hear kind of what the latest was there.
When I referenced the Vallejo milieu and Arthur Lee Allen being that local, you know, Vallejo suspect, if you will, that lived nearby on 32 Fresno Street, Drew Beeson's book is citing in on the Zodiac. It's actually that is Don Cheney's friend. He's the guy who gave Allen's name to the police. So that's kind of interesting because it was him and his boss, Sandy Panzarella, and they all supposedly lived together with Allen and his brother in college or whatever. You see, they're like a group of friends. So a lot of people point the finger in that direction, but the movie focuses on Allen, where Drew's book focuses on Cheney, and he's the guy who gave up Allen's name. So like some people think it's the guys, because there was another dude who owned a strip club, Spinelli, and he said that Allen came to him and said he was like willing to whack people for him. But this thing, dude, Allen was like a biology major, chemistry minor, and he was a weird guy. Don't get me wrong. He got in trouble for touching kids and stuff like that. But I don't know that he was like a cold-blooded like killer. Like he was just, he used to be like he was a skin diver and like used to be basically like a professional swimmer, you know. So he's just like a local Vallejo guy, for lack of a better phrase. But he was the lead suspect, and he basically said that VPD, Vallejo BD, was harassing him. So, and that opens the question: did Allen know the Zodiac? Did the Zodiac know Allen? How close is it to him? Is it his friend Cheney, or is it just some random guy from Vallejo that happened to know those guys? It's like, it's tough. Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. And then there's a lot of other break-off sex. I mean, there's the rumor that Darlene Ferrin, one of the victims, was like involved into witchcraft, but it's like unsubstantiated. Allen had the Zodiac watch. He did, but I think a lot of people had the Zodiac watch. Man, it was highly marketed at the time. I mean, I have a Super Seawolf night diver skeleton, right? I just can't get that angle right. I got one on right now, but it doesn't make me the Zodiac. You know what I'm saying? But. So there's the watch. I mean, that's another thing I didn't bring up, Gaz. So it's kind of weird with these like pop culture connections. There's no other case that I know of. You know, so when you talk about the letter writing campaigns, the early blueprints, obviously Jack the Ripper. Then there's a couple other letter writing campaigns in the States, the New Orleans Axeman. But really, it doesn't, or the Black Dahlia Avenger. But it really doesn't pop off crazy until Zodiac, because he starts doing it all the time. After he announces himself, they call him the Code Killer or the Cipher Slayer, and then he sends a letter. The debut of the Zodiac. This is the Zodiac speaking. But, like I said, when he wrote his Slaves in Paradise, a Halloween card, he wrote by fire, by knife, by gun, by rope. And then they found this comic book where Lady Death had the Wheel of Doom, and you spin it and you land on one of those. So that was kind of the comic reference. Then he has the Mikado. Then there's the Groucho Marx stuff. Then there's the Watch. So there's just like, the Most Dangerous Game, Charlie Chan at Treasure Island. There's all these weird random things. And some of them are more substantiated than others, right? So no one knows if every single one of them is a direct connection. But he layered himself into pop culture in no way that any other than maybe DB Cooper, any criminal ever has. Because Cooper, he's got a couple things going for him. Whoops. He's got the so when he checked in and bought his ticket, he gave the name Dan Cooper, and that's like a French-Belgian like action comic. So, DB Cooper has a little bit of that himself, but not to the level that, Zodiac does. You know what I mean?
Just someone's just said, it's Jay, should they do a better Zodiac movie spin? Yes. Well, we've done a few, and I think most of them have been actually. So
yeah, some of them have been
we need to find a good one then.
Crazy dookie. I don't know, man. I don't think so, because I don't think you're going to get it. So like David Toschi came down and he met Ruffalo, and Ruffalo played Toschi in the movie. Do you think you're going to get a better cast than Jake Gyllenhaal, Robert Downey Jr., Mark Ruffalo? Who else? It's an ensemble cast. I mean, there's some absolute bangers in that. And obviously David Fincher grew up in the Bay Area, so he remembered the Zodiac crimes growing up from when he was a kid. So he wanted to be the one to make like the definitive Zodiac movie. Also, Brian Hartnell, an actual Zodiac victim, walks by in the police station and cameos with his sons. So I don't think you're ever going to get things to ever line up like that again, where you have that level director. All of those actors were at least young enough to get them all in the movie, whereas I don't think you could probably get Mark Ruffalo, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Robert Downey Jr. in the same movie right now, because they've all made such big movies since. That's like, you wouldn't have a budget for like, Robert Downey did he get 40 for both of those Doctor Doom movies, or he got 20 each, so he got 40 million. So you're kind of past the point of and mind you, Downey's not the lead in Zodiac. He plays Paul Avery, the journalist who the Zodiac was writing to. It's actually Jake Gyllenhaal who's the lead. So yeah, again, you wouldn't be getting a Robert Downey Jr. supporting performance. You probably wouldn't even get Ruffalo. Well, I was just covering this earlier. I think he was doing that on purpose. I totally disagree. I think he was making a Zodiac persona to sound dumb, or he really is dumb. It could be either one.
Either one, yeah.
Yes, correct. Maybe you're just catching up to the.
Dirty Harry was good. I'm about saying they're all being good.
Yeah,
Dirty Harry was good.
Harry's based on Scorpio's based on Zodiac, and Harry's based on Toschi. Gaz and I did that. You can check out. So the Toschi characters, guys, are Bullet, Steve McQueen and Bullet. Dirty Harry is a Toschi-esque character, and then obviously Ruffalo actually plays Toschi in Zodiac. So you know what I mean. Shout out to Holly T. All right, guys, I got to run to an appointment in like 15-20, so I'm probably going to jizz that. Some of you guys were a little late. Feel free to run back the show. Any Zodiac Files Episode 5, the Lake Herman Ambush, coming soon. Make sure to join a membership or head over on Patreon and join there. If you want to get your name in the credits, or if you want to do a one-time donation, just hit me up. Make sure you email me. Sick. Yeah, I bought the whole package. So I have all 4 on Blu-ray, so I'm definitely going to be watching those down the line. I have the whole collection. I think you mentioned that before. Appreciate it, Stevie. Thanks for coming through, brother. Everybody subscribe to Spins and Needles. He does a lot of good Black Dahlia, a little bit of Zodiac, and he does some other cases over there, so check him out. And episode 6, the Blue Rock Springs attack, coming soon, guys. So we're in production. A bunch of new stuff coming soon. Heard that there's going to be the Crow Days of Sodom final trailer next week, Gaz, with a final release date. So
nice.
Gaz and I will be covering that. Rest in peace, Chuck Norris. Shout out to Fire Pixie for helping us with the links. Head on over to Patreon. click the join button for a membership if you want to get 24-hour early access to episode 5 and episode 6. And like, sub, share, you can head on over to Gazzy at Mosh Shinobi. Please follow, if you have a Twitch, please follow twitch.tv/PlanetXGames. Been playing a little bit of Toxic Commando, the new John Carpenter game, so I'll be playing that too. Peace out, Jay. Shout out to all the Cooperites and Heisters. So I think with that, Gazzy and I will probably get it popping. Gazzy, any final shots?
Just thanks to everybody as always. The
Hunted.
It's The Hunted, I think.
It's The Hunted.
Next week.
Benicio del Toro versus Tommy Lee Jones. It's a
good movie. Classic. Good movie, folks.
The Hunted is going to be sick. All right, gang. Appreciate everybody
coming through. Take care, folks. Thank you.
A little bit of The Hunted next week. Come back, like, sub, share. Join us for The Hunted, and then we'll drop the schedule for April soon. So I think Expanded coming out soon, and then we'll probably do a couple polls for what Norris movie do you guys want us to do, and also we have a free slot in April that we'll probably let you guys pick.
Do you want to do?
Good.
Do you want to? Yeah, I was going to say, do you want to do 2 Norris movies, like one and then another one later date, because there's so many good ones.
Whatever they want, we can do 3 if they want. But I was going to say, unless me and you fill in that free slot with normal Bob Odenkirk, but that might be an option as well. So we'll keep you guys posted. Paradigm Review Show, we're out. Like, sub, share. Ross Kowalski. Vanishing P, not great, but whatever. At least we gave you a couple Richard Grinell articles that were way more interesting than that. ZodiacCypress.com. Go give him a donation. We're out. Peace.